Welcome back, or welcome if you are new. We are going to read another story called Dryad of the Woods, Chapter 1, Underneath. It's another creepypasta story, so hopefully it's a good one. It is by Vngel W. I'm probably pronouncing that really wrong, so as again with the others, I will put the name in the title. Just so if you want to look it up on creepypasta later, you can. Felton slammed on his brakes, releasing a choir of screeching tires. His SUV stopped abruptly, narrowly missing the car ahead. "Jesus, Dad!" Ruth yelled. "The hell?" Felton gripped the steering wheel in an iron grip. Feeling his heart pound a mile a minute, after a few seconds, he managed to release a sigh of relief. "You okay?" "Barely. What the hell gives?" "Language, young lady," she scoffed. "Why isn't anyone moving?" He squinted ahead, attempting to see through the frost-covered windshield. "Not sure. Thank God for four-wheel drive, huh?" Ruth groaned, rocking back and forth in her seat. "Can we go already? I seriously have to pee." "No one's moving, all right? I hope it ain't too serious. Think I ought to check it out, just to make sure, though." "What? Did you even hear me, Dad?" "It'll only be a minute, Ruthie. You see now, I told you to go easy on the pumpkin lattes." She groaned louder, leaning onto the dashboard, causing her auburn hair to cascade around her head in a twisted bunch. "You can handle a minute. You're at least 20 out of anyway. Besides, if it becomes too much, you do have the tree line," he joked. She quickly shot him a salty glare as he exited with a smile. Outside, he was met with the cool wind of the snowy mountains. It sparked a ripple of swaying trees and extended for miles into the horizon. Felton shivered, propping up his collar. Ahead, he could hear an angry voice shouting. The vehicle, a fancy Lincoln SUV, had a shattered headlights, accented with a smash. A foot ahead of it was a red Chevy truck, inscribed with a minor dent in his rear. A man stood by the driver window, pounding on it. "Hey, what the F is your problem?" he yelled, smacking the glass again. He was clearly not from the area, and no doubt a city fellow. It was like he was peeled right out of a white-collar movie. Combed back, slick hair, dark shades, and an overcoat atop a nice suit. "Open the effing door," he went on. "Everything okay?" Felton spoke up as he approached. "Seriously, man," he shot back, gesturing to his car. Poor choice of words, Felton thought. "How about we calm down so we can figure out what happened?" The man continued to smack the glass. "I'll tell you what happened. This person just ruined a $90,000 car. And she's going to pay for it. Every effing cent and more. I'm going to sue you into the ground if you don't open up, you dumb bee." Felton set his jaw. Nothing fueled him more than disrespect to a lady. In most cases, the easiest way to set an a-hole in his place was a quick crack to the jaw, and he thought otherwise. There was no need to add fuel to the fire. Instead, Felton slid in between the suit and the truck. "All right, back off. She'll do what she needs to, but you're not helping anything. Give us some space now." The man noted his size difference to Felton, who owned a foot over him and was clearly gifted with more body mass. After a minute of glaring, he reeled out his phone and sauntered away. Felton turned back to the driver in the truck. It was a woman, middle-aged, with blonde hair. She was tightly gripping the wheel, facing ahead like a statue. Her eyes were glossy, and her face was paralyzed with grief. "Ma'am," Felton tapped on the glass. "Can you roll down the window?" She remained fixed, though, so Felton tapped a little harder, which seemed to awaken her. The woman turned his way slightly, eyeing him with a blank stare, and slowly complied. "You all right, ma'am?" She remained silent, opting to simply shake her head. "Well, are you hurt?" Again, she shook her head. "Okay, good. What's your name, then?" Carol," she finally stammered. "Nice to meet you. I'm Felton. Now I'm just trying to find out what happened is all. Why'd you slam your brakes? You lose traction on her? No. Okay, how about the engine? It stall on you? No. Is my truck fine? She snapped. I know how to handle it. My truck's fine. She snapped. I know how to handle it. All right, just checking, Felton replied with his hands up. If everything's so dandy, then what happened? You see something on the road or what? Instantly, Carol's eyes flashed and she slowly nodded. What you see, a deer? No, I saw... Tears started welling in her eyes again. I saw a kid. Oh, God, I think I hit a kid. She swallowed. I couldn't stop in time. I swear to God I tried. Felton grimaced. You're probably mistaken. Just jumped out of nowhere, they did. The woman interrupted with a quivered lip. A tear rolled down her cheek. I don't want to check. I can't. Please don't make me. She was clearly shaken by the ordeal. There was no way a kid could be out in these parts. But Felton nodded solemnly. He figured he'd indulge her to keep everything calm. It's fine. Just stay put, Carol. I'll check for you. Felton swallowed and slowly approached down. His heart got to pounding again. Though, why are my nerves shaken to this? He thought. Ain't nothing gonna be down there. As he peered underneath, the frigid wind crushed against his face, forcing his eyes to water. He glanced ahead, bracing for a horrid sight. Around the first two tires, he saw nothing. No blood or any evidence pointing to a supposed body. He chuckled to himself in relief. However, when he scanned further back, he noticed a dark bulge near the far rear tire. Felton recoiled, feeling a knot growing in his stomach. He squinted at it. It was hard to make out from this angle. The knot tightened when he realized he needed to get closer to get a better look. In no hurry, he edged his way around to the rear passenger. As he approached the bulge, the wind made another pass, swaying what appeared to be clothing. Dear Lord, he whispered. You see anything? Carol stammered. Felton ignored her, though, crouching down to it. It couldn't be a kid. It was impossible. It had to be something else, a small animal or worse. Time felt stagnant as he got lower. All the while, his mind attempted to deconstruct the body into something else, but he couldn't shake the original thought. A crushed kid. He slowly extended his hand towards it, feeling every cell in his body object the action until he touched it. Immediately he flinched, but he then filled with instant reprieve. It's not a kid, he relayed up, or an animal. He heard Carol exhale. It sounded as if she'd been holding since the beginning. Felton reeled the object from underneath the car, and into the light. Staring at it with a puzzled look, he carefully brought it over to the driver's side. Carol noticed it and gave off the same confused expression. What is that? She asked. He shook his head, unable to answer. It was a strange bale of twigs, held loosely together by twine in several areas. Despite being a disheveled heap, it appeared as if it had once formed shapes, but it was hard to tell what now. Admittedly, Felton was more disturbed than confused. This thing didn't seem like something one would find up in the wilderness. Not naturally, at least. He quickly tossed it off the road. The suit from earlier turned. Shit, can't get a effing signal to the cops, he stated, pocketing his cell phone. Now, did I see correctly that this chick ruined my car because she ran over a tree? A bushel of twigs, to be exact, Felton corrected him. And you're not going to get anything out here. Pass through here enough times to know. The man scoffed. Great. The F are we supposed to do then? Alex Cartfield is a very important man, and he has places he needs to be. Who the hell is Alex Cartfield? Felton asked, setting his jaw again. Alex Cartfield is me, he stated, jabbing a thumb into his chest. You always refer to yourself in third person? He scoffed again. Look, just tell me how we can get a signal out here. Felton bit his lip, but answered grudgingly. There's a rest stop 10 miles out. They got a landline you can use to call the sheriff. You have to go inland a bit, but it shouldn't be too hard to reach. I can probably find it, Carol chimed in. I don't mind leading in if I have to. The suit shot a glare her way. F no, I ain't trusting you to lead. Jack shit. You can't even tell the difference between a kid and an effing tree. She sank into her seat. Hey, now ease up, Felton spoke up. How about I lead then? I know the layout and I'm heading to that spot anyhow. Shouldn't take me no more than 30 minutes if we ride slow. The man contemplated the thought and then nodded. Smooth peaches then. Hang tight and let me grab my car. The man left for his SUV. Felton was about to follow when Carol held out a hand to him. Hey, they got coffee up this place? I'm a wreck without it. Sure do. Sam's the keeper. He knows a thing or two about a good pot, best brew for miles. She smiled. Cool, and thanks for stepping in when you did. Not sure what I was going to do. Felton nodded in acknowledgement. Immediately, the chilly wind summoned another shiver from him, prompting him to push forward, catching a glare from the suit as he passed. As he approached his own SUV, something caught his eye in the distant tree line. He squinted through the white mist and was surprised to see what looked like a figure, a short, child-sized one. It stood unmoving near the edge of the tree, seemingly staring back at him. Hey, do you see? He said, turning back, but it was obvious that neither would be able to hear him. He returned to the tree line, and immediately his heart dropped. The figure had moved closer. In the second he had looked away, it had managed to jump from its previous location, but it wasn't just a few feet. It had to have been at least a mile or so. That was impossible, though. The hairs on his neck pricked up. Felton soon began to hear faint whispers as if someone spoke just out of earshot. Was someone calling out to him again? He checked behind, but it didn't seem to be from the others. No, he thought, it's just the wind playing tricks. Harley Quinn, please stop biting my foot. Yes, you. Sorry, my cat is biting my foot. And it hurt. As his eyes fell back on the figure, he noticed it had jumped even closer at this point. Felton was ready to bolt to his car, but his body felt paralyzed. Paranoia washing over him like a wave. He started to feel what he could only describe as an emptiness in his stomach, like a cold hollowness expanding within him like the knot in a tree. The voices grew louder with this seemingly repeating a word, but he couldn't decipher it. Where were they coming from? What was happening to him? Suddenly, a loud car horn startled him. Come on, Dad, Ruth shouted from the window. I need to piss. Felton blinked for a second, feeling as if he had woken from a dream. The cold air finally settled back in, and he could feel the sting of its kiss lingering across his face, as if he'd been burying it for an hour. He glanced back at the tree line, but the figure, whatever it was gone. Was it ever there? That emptiness. What the heck was it? It felt like he had no time to dwell on it. As Ruth leaned on the horn again, he gave one final scan of the trees and shook the thought away, continuing to the SUV. That is the end of part 1. We'll be back with part 2 after I take my dog to the bathroom, apparently.